Yeah, I got you now.
There we go. I think it was something with my microphone. The old unplug and plug back in always tends
It's a
to work,
fancy
right?
damn microphone, though.
That's right. I don't know if it does anything. It's my buddy. I don't know if you remember Nate Gross from like Brunson days, but
I
he's
don't
let
remember
me
that name.
he's let me borrow this for a while. He's like, I don't have a need for it. It's all yours for now until he has a need. Then I need to get my own. So fortunately, it's been a while. So how are you doing,
Nice.
Cole? You
I'm
survived
good.
the winter weather?
Yeah, it's not good for Tuckers, I can tell you that.
Yep, it's not good for Whackworks either. I had a lot of dog walks this weekend, but you just got to give them the heads up. I mean, you can't. What else could you do?
Yeah, we went down. I mean, I went yesterday, we went down today, and it's just the there's just it doesn't melt at all. So the parking lot and the yard are just covered in like 4 inches, and I don't see it melting anytime soon.
No, I guess you can get
So,
someone out there snow shoveling eventually.
well, we have a gravel parking lot, so you're kind of limited on what you can do there.
Sure.
And in the yard, I can't, uh, I can't really do much in there. And so the dogs will be fine. It's just the humans I worry about.
Right, and driving there as well. I mean, this is the first because how long has Tucker's been going on now?
Um, it'd be 4 years in August.
Yeah, I remember in North Carolina we didn't have a snow for a long time, and I think it snowed a little last year, but this is like our first like big snow in a little bit. And it wasn't that big, it's just the ice, I feel like.
Yeah, the ice is the problem, and the temperature now is the problem. I mean, the it's not really melting anywhere. I mean, I don't know how your roads are, but like our road, like in front of our house, is still not ideal.
Yeah, I mean it's the same way. I have to like time my I'm at a client's house right now and I like got some of the driveway shoveled and then I saw if I could get my car from the garage to the street and that worked. So I'm timing it perfectly. I'm like it's above 30, 33. I think it'll be like 38 and I'm like I'm gonna try to drive home, but we'll
Oh, they're out
see.
of town.
I mean I'm still in Winston, but yeah, farther from my parents' house. Hey,
Got
look
you.
at the background. Look at
Yeah, I thought
that.
I'd try to go fancy here.
I like it. Well, anyways, Cole Parsons, you and Kim, your wife, are the owners of Tucker's Tap Yard,
Yes, sir.
which is also in, I guess I'm a Clemens guy, but close enough to Winston where, in my hometown area. And I've been several times and it seems like it's one of the first kind of concepts here in Winston and it's just really taken off. So don't know if you want to kind of start. I know a lot you've always liked animals and you had Lego your cat. And then I think over COVID we talked a little bit how you guys started working remote and taking your RV place to place. So if you want to kind of jump in there.
Yeah, so we've always been cat people, and just for many years. And our cat passed away in April of, I guess that's 20. And we had bought the RV in December of
Hmm.
19. And so after a week or so of being devastated by lonely, we started thinking about getting a new pet because we've always been pet people.
Sure.
And I don't know whose idea was, whether one of our kids or one of us just kind of said, if we're going to be traveling in the camper, I wonder if a dog might be a better option. And we decided to kind of look around. At that time, people may remember you couldn't really find dogs because everybody wanted one because everybody was stuck inside.
Right. And
And we
COVID,
really wanted
everyone and their mom wanted a dog, that's for
yeah,
sure.
we really wanted to rescue. And so our neighbor at the time actually did some work with AARF. I don't know if she was on the board or
Hmm.
something. And so Kim texted her and said we were looking for a pup. And within a day or two, she's like, I got one you guys can go look at. And we went over and looked, and there's two little beagle puppies. And um, we didn't know anything about dogs, and certainly didn't know anything about beagles, didn't know the pros and cons of having a beagle. So we decided that, that day I was like, okay, we like him. What would be the next step? And they're like, well, you just take him home today. We're like, oh shit. So
Really?
we
That's a
went from
quick,
there
big
to
paperwork
the
right there.
yeah, we went from there to PetSmart. And we had one of Ashley's friends with us who's always had dogs, and she was kind
Hmm.
of helping us say what we needed to buy and not buy and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then we started traveling in the RV and with him and having a blast. And doesn't sit still, wants to be moving constantly, very driven by his nose. So, even when we would travel, we would go hiking and try to kind of wear him out. And then we like to go to a brewery in the afternoon and kind of chill. And inevitably, we would find somewhere to go, and one of us would be sitting, and one of us would be walking around with him.
Right.
That'd be outside around the parking lot or around the bar or around the yard, whatever.
He wasn't
And
just wanting to chill there with you.
if
He
you've ever
wanted to
been
be
to
able to do
Wise
it.
Man or Foothills or any of these places where you see dogs that are just chilling by their owner's legs, that's not Tucker.
Right.
Still isn't at 6 years old, and this was when he was a puppy. So we use an app called Bring Fido, which I'm sure
Hmm.
your listeners are very familiar with. And we were in Florida, and we had been into a state park and did a bunch of hiking. And Kim was looking to find somewhere to go have a beer, and she found this place called Brewhounds, and it's actually in Neptune Beach. And she was reading the description and said, "Hey, this is an off-leash dog park, but they also have a bar." And I was like, "That's not. That sounds like paradise. That's
Right.
impossible." So we rolled over there, and sure enough, as we pulled up, it was in a kind of an industrial area, and you get behind some warehouses, and they have this beautiful open green space, all turf with big trees, and down there you don't really need anything inside. So um, we rolled up and hung out there for several hours and had some beers, and he just had a ball.
Oh, I bet.
By the time we left, we had met some people. He had met some people, met some dogs, and it was just great. So that was our first exposure to this off-leash dog bar concept. Um, and so what we started doing on our travels, no matter where we were looking for that same thing. Um, and we actually sought out some cities that had those. There's a lot of them, on the kind of East Coast. We did some in Florida. There's several we went to some down there was one in Charleston, I think is now closed. Greenville has one, South Carolina. There's a couple in Asheville, a couple in Charlotte. Well, then we found out there's one in Greensboro called Doggos. So we started going over there, and it was about a 40-minute drive one way, and we'd go maybe twice a month. Um, and eventually we were like, hey man, I think we could do this in Winston. And as you know, Winston is an awesome dog city.
Absolutely.
All the bars and restaurants that have patios allow pups, some of them that allow them inside even, but all on leash. And for us, that just doesn't really work. I mean, it's better than nothing, and we like
Sure.
to take him with us. Now that we have two, unless we're traveling and there's nowhere else to go, we try to go always somewhere that's off leash, whether that to be a regular dog park or somewhere like Tucker's. And so we really wanted to be downtown was the other thing. Once we decided we were going to do it, we started looking for property downtown, and we also started going back around to all the places that we had visited that we liked, especially. And I was taking pictures and taking notes and trying to talk to the owners if they would talk to me. And most people will, as long as you're not, in their backyard sort of thing.
Sure.
Um, and eventually we found a property downtown kind of by accident. And we bought that place in February of 22. It was a former body shop. It was called Smith's Auto Body. It was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Smith for about 30 years. And
Wow.
the wife had cancer at the time, and she was really pushing her husband to retire. And he didn't really want to retire, but he was willing to do that for her, which I thought was great. And
Definitely.
we bought the property in February of 22 and opened in August. Um, we had no history of being business owners, certainly no history of being bar owners or anything in the dog business. My wife, fortunately, is a financial person. She's been in finance roles, CFO type things for 20 years. So she kind of had that side figured out. And that's, initially probably the most important side, to understand what your costs are going to be and kind of know what your model is going to be and that sort of thing. Again, we kind of pick and choose things that we liked from other places as far as like rules and regulations and layout and that sort of thing. The building really was perfect as it was because it's got about half an acre of green grass on one side. Unfortunately, that side had no door, so that was a big expense putting in the garage doors on that guess that would be the east side of our building. But I designed the bar kind of from scratch, and we developed. My wife did all the website and all that, and we opened. We had a soft kind of opening beginning of August, and I think we had like our grand big opening like in the teens, 16th, 18th, something like that of August of 22. Um, and have been kind of rolling ever since. As long as there's not 4 inches of ice in the parking lot,
Yeah,
we're
that does
we're open.
that
It's
does kind
been
of put a hitch in everything, but
yeah, it has been great. We what's been unexpected a little bit is just the community that's developed. Um, you you have a like-minded group right away. Even more so than like a country club. You go to a country club, some people like golf and some people like tennis, some people just want to go to the pool. But when you go to a dog bar, most everybody there has a dog or loves dogs. And we get some folks who don't have dogs for various reasons, but you have this immediate community. And then the other part is that they're kind of forced to talk because dogs socialize with each other right away. And then inevitably the two owners are kind of watching them and they're like, oh, is that your pup? What's his name? What's his breed? How old is he? Where do y'all live? Um, and we have groups of people that have been coming since day one that are now the best of friends. They're taking trips together and doing holidays together. And so that's probably been the coolest thing to see.
yeah. Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
people that probably wouldn't talk to each other, in today's society, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different races, just different people that probably if you saw them at a regular bar, they probably wouldn't end up sitting at a table together. But because their
Sure.
dogs are friends, they end up being friends, and that's probably been the best thing. We have people that come. We're open 6 days a week, and we have people come pretty much every day. And they'd come 7 days a week if we were open on Mondays.
You got to have a day off. I mean, I
Um,
agree. I think something that dogs do that is very cool is that they level the playing field, right? It doesn't really matter like what your job is or if you're in school or if if again, all different sorts of people. As soon as you see the dog, you're kind of like, "Hey, what's going on?" And it is really cool. I have noticed around Tucker's, follow your Instagram, of course, and
yeah,
your daughter Ashley, who I went to school with for a little bit, and you always live in our neighborhood. She runs the social media, so it's really cool to have the family involved. But I know you all do the trivia, and you host every Thursday. Is that right?
I do trivia on Thursdays. That's become really big for us. That
Yeah.
started out with our very first winter. Obviously we opened in August and it was like a
Hmm.
honeymoon. I mean, we were packed right away, and it was kind of good and bad because we knew what we were doing, but not so much as we do now. But and everybody was new to us. So when all the dogs are new and all the people are new, there is a little bit more anxiety. Now if you go in if you're there on a Thursday, we have 50 dogs there. We probably know 40 of them or more.
Sure.
So you kind of know which dogs might need a little bit more attention or that sort of thing. But yeah, the our first winter, as it got colder, we started to have less and less folks coming in. So we were approached by a trivia company. They do trivia, they do music bingo, they do karaoke, that kind of stuff. So we started paying these folks to come in and do trivia, and it was okay. I mean, I had been to some trivias at other places, and I didn't think it was great, and I was
That's how.
like,
There's only like one. Like I eventually, we have Cedric when he gets. He's not neutered yet, so I know we can't bring him in yet. But
yeah.
I'm looking forward to bringing him in for a Tucker's trivia soon. But
And I don't know if it
I
was me or
understand.
Kim or maybe even Ashley. Someone was like, I think you could do this, Dad,
Yeah.
or. And so I found a company that just provides the kind of the questions, and I've been doing it now for, I mean, I think 2.5 years. We've been blessed to be voted best trivia several times in the city, which is great.
And you have you have teams that show up because there's a year-long competition,
I
right?
mean, we have that's something I don't know that anybody else does. I mean, I've
I
been
don't think
to Field
so.
and Fish and Wise Man and others, and again, I don't know how I started that. But yeah, we do a year long. We do gift card for the winner, and we have first, second, third. We're doing fourth place this year because people really like to see their name up there with some points. But we award points, and then I have a trophy that you can take a picture with, and then you can take it home if you want. My idea was kind of like the Stanley Cup. If you
Yeah.
want to take it home and have some drinks out of it or whatever. some teams do that, some teams don't, but and then yeah, you get points all through the year, and then if your team wins at the end of the year, you get to keep that actual trophy, and then we start with a new trophy the following year. And we've had a different winner the first 3 years, which has been great. But yeah, we have about 8 teams that are consistent. We always have two or three that are kind of stragglers, but we have a couple teams that have no dogs, which is kind of cool. They're all Wake Forest students, either Wake Forest undergrad or grad. And their friends, find out about our trivia night and they want to come over and play trivia, and they kind of get their fix of pet their dogs because their dogs are home and they miss them, that sort of thing. So trivia has been a lot of fun, and I mostly enjoy it. Doing it every week sometimes can be a little bit of a drag, but
I'm
once
sure.
I get in the seat and everyone's around there and I get going, it's a lot of fun.
It's also funny to think because, I feel like, and who knows, had COVID had or had not happened, you guys may or may not have hopped in an RV and decided to travel, And so, like,
Yeah,
thinking
yeah, who
back
knows?
to 2018, 2019, looking like, wait a minute, I'm hosting trivia every week now. You're
Yeah.
like, what's going on?
Well, we were talking the other night, Kim and I, and we were just looking around at our room and all the dog stuff and blankets, and they're just, and she was like, "Did you ever think we would much less own a dog, but two, and then also be involved very heavily in a dog business?" And kind of known in Winston-Salem now, we get a lot of phone calls when folks have dogs that they find or they want to know, where's a great place to adopt or that sort of thing. We obviously still support AARF on a regular basis. Millie came from a rescue in Tennessee, so we can't really support them as much, but Humane Society, there's an organization called Haley Graves, which is
Mhm.
an adoption organization. There's one called Stepping Stones. For those two, especially, they don't have a brick and mortar place like
Right.
our for Humane Society does. So we host adoption fairs for those folks, probably once a month or every other month, depending on the weather and what they have going on. But we've probably had, to this point, 12 or 15 dogs that have been adopted
That is
because of
awesome.
adoption fairs at Tucker's. And if they're in town, folks, a lot of times they'll end up coming back as customers. And so it kind of runs the first full circle of just supporting kind of the dogs and people in the community that love dogs. There's Winston is such a great dog town, and Tucker's is a solid part of that at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, do you want to kind of, I know you had mentioned that you had done a lot of the designs, I mean, most of them yourself. So, do you want to kind of walk us through what inside Tucker's, outside, and some of the
Yeah.
features that
So
you have?
again, it originally was a auto body shop, so that lent itself with some garage doors. So we have really garage doors on three sides. Two of those were existing, and then we had to put in two garage doors on the main yard side. So Tucker's, the building itself is about 3,000 square feet.
Hmm.
We have a double gate system. So whenever folks come in, they come through one door and then we go into an unleashing area. And then there's another door that everything else is off leash. So on the rare occasion we get folks that come in and they say, "Well, I want to keep my dog on leash," and we just don't do that because it can be a little bit dangerous if there's one or two dogs on leash and everybody else is off leash.
Sure.
And so we have some separate smaller areas. We have one that we is the small dog area. It was designed for folks under 30 pounds. It doesn't really get used for that very often, although we do have some small breeds that come in and want to use that. Most small breeds that come in, they just want to be with everybody else. They don't want to be, a dachshund doesn't want to necessarily be with all the dachshunds or with the Yorkies or whatever. But that small dog area can be used for folks who want a calmer experience or they want to play with puppies or something like that. But that has an indoor and an outdoor area that's all fenced. And we have an area that we call the paint booth, which is because it was a body shop. They had a paint booth inside that obviously has been torn out, but the area that was the paint has its own outside area that's about 1,200 square feet. That's another area that folks can go if they don't want to be in the main yard.
Sure. And
Um,
that's where we were set up when we did like the vendor events and stuff
that's
like that.
right. That's right. We do special events in there. That's where our adoption fairs are. We rent that out as well. We do some doggy birthday parties. We've had a few corporate events for folks who want to have like a dog theme or, frankly, Tucker's is one of the few places in Winston that has a full bar. that has free parking and also a private event space that has pretty good size to it. So we occasionally get private events that have nothing to do with dogs just because it's a nice space. But
Sure. And then a
um,
great area too in Winston.
yeah, being right there off of 52, very easy to get to. But yeah, the paint booth is a great space um, for smaller play groups or that sort of thing. We also have a ball toss. That came about kind of organically. We don't allow toys in the yard because
Hmm.
dogs can be a little bit aggressive around toys.
Sure.
And so we had this large open area that's just concrete. So we just throw a bunch of tennis balls back there and folks can go back there. Some dogs, that's all they want to do. And the owners get a little bit annoyed because they'll just come and sit at that door. Um, and they'll go toss ball for 10 minutes and they'll want to go and have a beer and the dog will just sit there. And then the main yard's kind of where all the magic happens. It's about 12,000 square feet, all synthetic turf. There are a few mulch areas where we have some trees and that sort of thing, but there's really no mess. We've got seating out there. We put umbrellas out in the summer, put heaters out during the fall and winter, that sort of thing. But the core idea behind Tucker's is that the dog and the human are both having a positive experience. Um, if you go to a dog park, let's say you go to Tanglewood, beautiful dog park, um, and there is a social aspect to somewhere like that because you have repeat people out there. Um, but for the most part, you're there. You probably are talking to one person or maybe none. Your dog is trying to make friends. Um,
And you don't have beer either, which,
yeah, right. You
that's
probably
that's
shouldn't have beer in a public park.
right.
And you don't know about the dogs. You don't know if they're vaccinated or not. You don't know if they're
Yep.
spayed or neutered or not. You don't know
Absolutely.
if they're social or not. And so our place is designed not only for safety, but to create an atmosphere where the people can have fun and the dog can have fun too. It's not one or the other.
Yeah.
If you go to a bar and you go on the patio and you're on leash, your dog's sitting under the table, they're happy they're with you, but I don't know how much fun they're really having.
Sure.
If they can sprint and chase their friends, to me, if I'm a dog, that's probably going to be more fun.
Definitely.
Um, we require Bordetella, which is kennel cough. We require distemper, which is distemper and rabies are both required by the state. So everybody kind of has those. But Bordetella is the one optional thing. It's sort of like sending your kid to preschool.
Sure.
You want to
You're going to
have
be
them
around a
immune
lot
to
of other
roach.
dogs. Yeah.
We recommend the flu vaccine. We don't require it. We are in very close contact with several veterinarians, and we often will take their advice on certain things. Knock on wood, this year there's not been a lot of respiratory illness going around with dogs yet. So if that happens again, we more strongly encourage the flu vaccine, but we've not required that quite yet. We obviously we require spay or neuter if they're over a year.
Hmm.
That helps with aggression with males. And it helps with, if we don't want any dogs in heat there, obviously. Um, we get folks sometimes that ask about that because they have larger breeds and their vet has decided that it's not healthy to have let's say a German Shepherd neutered at 11 months. And
Right.
what we say is that's completely up to you and your vet. It just means you can't come to Tucker's.
And that
Um,
that makes sense too. I mean, I think like keeping a strong chip or keeping things really in a way where you guys have control, what's happening. And
yeah.
like that means that you're going to have to turn away a few people. But again, you guys have been going strong for 4 years. And I think sometimes, especially with the off leash, which you guys want to do, having those strict rules, it is what it is. And that's what makes one of the things that make you guys
Yeah,
flourish.
and most 99% of people appreciate that. We get on the occasion, we get folks who get a little upset, especially if they come and they don't have something that they thought they had.
Hmm.
And we're black and white. I mean, we get a lot of people that come in and they say, "Oh, of course my dog has Bordetella," but it's Sunday and their vet's closed. They don't have a record. Unfortunately, you just can't come in.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way it is. What we do offer now Sniff Spot. I don't know if you are familiar with that through our
Yeah. I've heard
audience.
about Sniff Spot.
So Sniff Spot, for those who don't know, is basically a VRBO for yards. So for folks who might live in downtown environments that don't have dog parks or don't have something like Tucker's, folks actually just rent their yards out. It's a totally separate app. We don't control it. You do your vaccinations on there. I don't think they require Bordetella on Sniff Spot, but they do require distemper and rabies. They don't require spay or neuter because you can have it to yourself. But that's a way for folks to come to Tucker's if they don't want to have their dog spayed or neutered. Some of our folks have maybe 3 dogs, and maybe only one of them is social enough to come to Tucker's.
Sure.
But they see that their other dogs enjoy just the open space and that it's safe and clean. So they come and rent the yard for an hour, let all 3 of their dogs play. We don't allow children either under 16. Again, most people can understand that and appreciate. Some people get upset with that.
Well, I
But
mean,
that's another
it's
reason why you
also a
might be able to
bar,
use
right?
Sniff Spot. If you want to bring your 6 kids and your 3 dogs to Sniff Spot, we don't have any problem with that. So
Does that
Tucker's is
mean that
16
you
and
guys have to
over.
close down for like a certain hour during the day while you guys are?
It's just during non-open hours. So we don't
Okay,
open till
okay.
4 o'clock every day. And so, up until 3:30, Sniff Spot's available.
Nice.
We're not open on Mondays, so it's available pretty much all day Monday. So in the springtime, we'll get people they'll get Sniff Spots at 10 o'clock at night, or they'll get them at 8 in the morning. So
Hmm.
Sniff Spot's a good way for people to experience the yard, but not if they don't qualify based on their dog or if they have kids or that sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
the other thing about Tucker's is we obviously charge, we charge either a daily pass or folks have a monthly or annual membership.
Hmm.
That also kind of helps the clientele, so to speak. You get a little bit more responsible dog owner that's willing to have those vaccinations, have their records, and be willing to pay something to come in. That also allow us to have the position of yard ranger, which is what we call kind of the lifeguard that's in the yard all the
Yeah,
time.
fantastic
Um,
idea. But I'll let you keep elaborating. But yeah,
yeah, there we saw that the very first place we went, the Brew Hounds, they called it, what they call it? They had a different name. They all have different names, referees or other things, but yard ranger is what we call it. And they're there. I always when I hire one, I say you have 3 responsibilities. Number one is safety. They're watching the dogs, they're watching the people, and the idea basically is to try to see something before it happens. If you see a dog that's uneasy, tail between the legs, they're low to the ground, they're upset, if another dog might be bullying them or playing too rough, then their job is to go over to that owner of both dogs and say, okay, obviously your dog's not comfortable. Your dog's playing a little bit too rough. Can we separate them and we need to put one somewhere else? So safety by far number one. Number two is cleanliness. We want our customers, we require our customers to clean up their own dog's output, we call it.
the
But it
output.
can't always happen because
You don't always
we
know.
again
Yeah.
we got 3,000 square foot inside, about 12,000 outside. If your dog poops in the very upper corner of the yard and you're in the bathroom or getting a drink, you may not know your dog did that. So if our yard ranger knows the dogs, and a lot of the dogs are known to us, they'll go find somebody and say, hey, Tucker pooped in the corner. Can you grab it? But if it's, kind of unidentified, then they'll just go ahead and clean it up.
Sure.
And we have a weed sprayer, kind of a motorized sprayer thing that we use after poops that puts disinfectant right down at that point.
Nice. Because it is, yeah. I mean, I guess turf or grass, you'd still probably need that disinfectant. The grass would just be more likely to die. So especially with the turf and the upkeep
Yeah,
of
and our
that.
turf it's specialized turf. It's designed for pets. It's got a
Hmm.
little bit bigger holes in the bottom of it, so it drains really well.
Nice.
It's got about 6 inches of rock underneath. So, I mean, knock on wood, we've been open almost 4 years. And if you walked into Tucker, well, today it's frozen, but if you walked into Tucker's, on any given day, most people come in, they say, I can't believe this place doesn't smell. Um, and same thing for the inside. We use the same disinfectant. It's a veterinary grade disinfectant that we use.
Hmm.
And so we don't really have any problem with smells. But anyway, safety number one, cleanliness number two, and then just customer service. If someone has an empty drink, do you need something else? There's water if you need it. Do you guys want the pool out today? Do you want the sprinkler out today? That kind of stuff. So, and they know we have a very seasoned staff. So, most of our yard rangers, except for the ones that have been recently hired, know, pretty much all of our customers. They know the dogs. They know which ones get along. They know which ones might have a beef with each other, that sort of thing. So again, the community that's developed sort of includes our staff. We've got 4 or 5 staff members that have been with us since day one.
Wow.
And that, I think, again, that says a lot about just our place and the way we treat our staff and the way our customers treat our staff.
Absolutely. And I think I mean, especially in the service industry, but especially with dogs too. I mean, having the right people on your team, right? You've had the same bartenders for a while, you've had the same manager for a long time, and I think that again allows for Tuckers to continue to grow throughout every
Yeah.
year and keep customers happy.
And not everybody, people ask about the bar piece. Not everybody drinks, and that's fine. We offer a lot of non-alcoholic drinks. We have people that bring in just their own water bottle or whatever. So you can get as much out of Tucker's as you want. If you want to come in for a half an hour, let your dog play, and you're bringing in your Yeti of water, then that's great. If you want to be an annual member and come 6 days a week and have a beer or a cocktail whenever you come in, that's great too. So, we feel like we've got kind of a pathway for anybody that wants to come in. Um, it's great when people come in without dogs because they may have a dog that recently passed away. They may be here at college and they don't have their dog. Or they may come in for trivia or karaoke or something else. Um, Spring and summer, when you're out there on a spring evening and it's 70 degrees and the music's playing and the lights are on, the dogs are running around, you got a cold beer in your hand. To me, it doesn't get a lot better, but I'm obviously
Yeah,
biased.
sure.
Um, but yeah, it's just we're very blessed that for what the vision that we had and the fact that people have kind of accepted it and kind of run with it has been pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of hard work goes into it as well, right? It took there y'all were traveling for a year or two and planning before you even, acquired the place and
Yeah,
then
it was I would say almost 2 years in
yeah.
planning. As we were looking for the downtown space, it was and I can tell a quick story about that. I mean, we're on the commercial MLS every day pretty much trying to see what came up. We had a friend of ours who's a commercial agent trying to help us, and we needed a building and we also needed green space. And so, that's not a thing you can just go find right away. We
Especially
also wanted to
downtown.
own, we wanted to own the space. We didn't want to lease. Um, we talked to a few people about leasing. It was kind of a mutual thing that people didn't want to lease when they found out we were going to have dogs running around peeing and stuff. But we also wanted to be able to do what we wanted to the space and change
Right.
it or adapt it as we wanted to. So we really wanted to own. So anyway, we would go most weekends. We would go drive around and look at places that we had kind of seen online. Um, and this was on a Sunday. We were downtown driving past this building, and there was a little tiny sign out front. And we pull it up on our phone. It's not on the MLS. Well, the door was about halfway open, one of the garage doors on the Liberty Street side, which is now our entrance. It's no longer a garage door, but at that time it was about halfway open. So my wife is one that if she wants something, she's going to go figure it out.
Sure.
And so she's like, I'm going to go inside. The door's open, whatever. So she went inside, and Mr. Smith was in there. He was working on a car. At that time, he had a dog. Her name was Foxy. Um, and Mr. Smith, she introduced herself and said that we were looking for property. And she said, "Is this property for sale?" And his reaction in a very nice Southern way was that he said, "Well, there's a damn sign in the yard in there." And she said, "Well, yes, sir, there is, but we
Yeah.
haven't seen it on the commercial MLS." And long story short, he had listed it with a buddy of his at church who is a residential realtor. So it was on the residential MLS, which we never
Ah,
searched
right.
for. So when we called Ben, our commercial guy, and told him that there was a 1 acre lot with a building downtown, he was like, "You got to be kidding me." The bad news is that Mr. Smith wasn't very anxious to sell, so there really wasn't any negotiation. But after a while, we kind of figured out, based on the layout of the land and the way the building was structured, it was just perfect, and
Sure.
we couldn't pass it up. So um, we had done so much research, all the behind the scenes stuff was really already done. What had to be done at that point was decide how do we lay out the building so it's best for the people, and the checkout is and the check-in checkout is very important. The double gating system is very important. um, we had to take down some walls here and there. We put in some garage doors. And then on the east side where all the grass was, we basically turned um, you know about 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 60% of what was there we turned into turf.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest investments, other than the bar. the walk-in and the keg system, the turf was a very significant investment, but we really wanted to have all turf. When it rains, you can still come. There's no mud, there's no mess. That's good for us and good for people that are getting in the car to go home. And so we put in the building has a full central vac system. So we can use disinfectant and do a wet, dry vac whenever we want. So that really
Nice.
helps for cleanup and to keep things really nice. We were able to develop those little different spaces that I talked about earlier. We put in a self-wash, which I think is great for the folks downtown. We've got a large bathtub that's kind of elevated with a big sprayer, $12, and you go in there with your dog. You can make a mess. You can go in there with your Great Dane or with your Doodle or with your Yorkie, and you can clean them head to toe. And then when you leave, you just get to leave. You don't have to worry about the towels or the shampoo or any of that. So that's been great, especially for folks who don't have that at their own home or in their condo or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Feel like you guys have found a lot of ways to kind of utilize that space, especially with the sniff spot, being able to have people come in those hours.
yeah,
And we just have a couple minutes left, so
yeah.
I know I wanted to, ask you to maybe share of how do people register or sign up for Tucker's
Yeah,
Tap
so
Yard?
on
Where
our
do they go?
website at tuckerstapyard.com, pretty simple. In the top right corner, it says log in. That'll take you to it's another software. We use a software called Ginger,
Hmm.
which is the same thing that most of the boarding places might use. So a lot of folks who have dogs are familiar with the layout. But you register, you put in a page about yourself, address, demographics, etc. The next page is about your dog, the breed, their weight, their birthday, and then you upload your vaccination document, or you can email that to us. We go in manually, look at all that. We verify every document. If we can't clearly state that your dog has had rabies and they're not due again until 2027 or whenever that date is, we'll call those people and say, hey, your record is a little bit off. We've literally had people that we'll call and they'll say, of course my dog has Bordetella. They get it every year. And then we'll call the vet and the vet will say, well, it's kind of weird because they've not been in for 9 months and we don't really know why they haven't come back, but
Sure.
they're due for Bordetella. So then once you register, we send you a little note that says you're good to go. The first time they come in, we give them a little bit of a rundown about how to go in and out, that you're responsible for your output, what a yard ranger does, that sort of thing. Most folks do day passes like the first time or two. And if you come more than about 3 times a month, it makes sense to do a monthly pass. We do monthly passes for single dogs and for families of dogs. They kind of goes down the more dogs you have. We also have annual passes too, which is basically 10 months or 12 months for the price of 10. And we do have some annual members, not a ton. Most people are on the monthly membership.
Sure.
$38 a month for two dogs, 55 I'm sorry, $38 a month for one dog,
Hmm.
55 a month for two dogs. And that's come as much as you want. Come every day, come 2 times a day, whatever you want to do. But yeah, that's how you register. Again, rabies, distemper, Bordetella, spay or neuter if over a year. And obviously they have to be social. If folks aren't sure, we have them come at kind of a calmer time.
Hmm.
And when they come in, we'll kind of watch out for them. You have to let the yard ranger know, hey, this is Tucker's first time here. He's a little bit unsure about it.
Sure.
Um,
And kind of check. And also, it is just about to cut off, so I
yeah,
just,
thanks for
not
having me.
not paying for the extra Zoom,
I
but
got you.
anyways, thank you so much, Cole. It was a pleasure having you on, and look forward to coming back to Tucker's and getting this episode
All right,
out.
Richmond. Thanks, buddy. Let me know when it
Absolutely.
comes out.
All right. Bye-bye.